Welcome to an edition of Boxing Info. I'm your host, The Islander, and this is Happy Thanksgiving week, the day after Thanksgiving in the United States. Sorry this is late. I just have basically worked Monday and had the rest of the week off, so I've been trying to get back over to the office to record a video and get it uploaded. And one of the things that I'm glad a lot of you are appreciative of is the frequency of these videos corresponds with the ease in which I can get them actually from recording up to the internet without having to wait all day from the upload. In this video I want to do two things basically. Oh, actually three if I'm thinking about it. Let me just work behind the scenes here because I've been meaning to do this for the last two episodes. And that's a trip down memory lane for those of us who have been together for the better part of more than 9 years now. 9.5 years. It's going to be 10 years next year. I think since the first time I released a video on the Stork JMC login. And as I'm going through my emails, I am going to, where is YouTube? There we go. And we will go back to the very beginning. I used to, every time somebody subscribed to my video, it would send me an email and it would say so and so subscribed to email, and I would go to their Facebook page and do write a thank you for subscribing. For some reason I stopped getting those emails. I don't know why. All right, but three things I'm doing in this video. One, I'm gonna go take a trip down memory lane, which will be last. Two, I'm gonna preview the Vasily Lomachenko Nicholas Walters fight, which I've been waiting to see this fight a lot longer than the one I'm going to review, which is Andre Ward and Sergey Kovalev. So those are the three things on tap today. All right. In review of the Kovalev Ward fight, I'm going to start off by telling you, of course you already know this, I thought Kovalev won the fight, and I thought he won it with breathing room. Did he win it 9-3? I don't think so. Did he win it 8-4? Maybe 7-5. Definitely. Basically, the judges had the fight 7-5 for Ward, minus the 1 point for the knockdown that he suffered in the second round. Look, this fight was kind of a mixture of the two polar opposites I gave you on the preview, where early on it looked like Kovalev against Bernard Hopkins, and then as the fight progressed and Ward started getting into the fight and making it as ugly as he possibly could make it, and I'm not going to hold that against him. The name of the game is winning, okay? So I'm not going to hold it against him for doing what he does. What I was most surprised about is that Kovalev was absolutely ineffective inside. There was almost like nothing he could do inside. Once Ward got in and started grappling and holding and holding and hitting and all the other things, all the other tricks of the trade. But as some of you astutely pointed out, Ward landing one punch at a time. Look, let's be clear about something, and this is what one of my biggest faux pas, or I should say, grievances with boxing is, especially with judging and scoring, and that is that the guy who threw more punches, landed the heavier punches, and scored the knockdown lost the fight. The guy who threw fewer punches, landed fewer punches, but landed at a higher connect percentage won the fight. Now, let me ask you just a hypothetical situation, okay? Let's assume that Andre Ward threw 100 punches in the fight, and he landed 99 out of the 100, and he landed at a 99 connect percentage. But Kovalev threw 500 punches, scored 200 of the 500, scored the knockdown, and those punches were 10 times heavier. Who would win the fight? Wouldn't you think the guy with the lower connect percentage, who was throwing more punches, landing more punches, and landing the harder punches, would win the fight? Just food for thought. Like I said, I thought that, there was a tale of two fights. The first half of the fight and the second half of the fight. I was flipping around through channels, and basically what I was doing was trying to see what Dan Raphael was doing without stepping away from the TV and getting on the internet. And getting back quickly to the fight. because I was streaming the fight through the internet. I couldn't basically get off the app that I was using, look at a web page, and get back to it. I lost the connection early on doing that. But either way, I had the TV right next to the computer, and I was paying attention to what ESPN was scrolling across the bottom of the screen. And basically, Dan Rafael had the first 4 rounds a sweep for Kovalev. I am sort of on board with that. But as the fight developed, and it became increasingly clear that what was happening in the fight was Kovalev's only chance was to land at distance or catch Ward coming in. And if he didn't, basically Ward would smother him, hold him, grab him. He'd score a punch here and there. Basically a left hook here, a jab here, a right hand there, here and there. But Kovalev walked right through those punches. And in my opinion, the Ward people don't want to talk about a rematch. Boxing is not going to survive without a rematch, because I feel that this decision, in some ways, was as egregious as the first Pacquiao Timothy Bradley fight. Even in that fight, Timothy Bradley's wife was shocked that he was given the decision. This time, I thought it was clear cut enough that we're talking about, again, and what's been thrown out the window are all the old respected adages in boxing, that a challenger had to take the title from the champion. And I don't feel, and I don't know, I welcome feedback, but do you feel that the challenger took the title from Kovalev? I don't. I mean, again, I've been very consistent in these stances where the puncher or the power guy who does land more punches and does the damage, usually should win the fight over the flash. I mean, I used that hesitantly towards Andre Ward, who quickly ascending to the top pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Now, with this said, there's only one way out for both of them going forward, or one future for both of them going forward, and that's they're going to cross paths again. And I would hope that, I don't know that Andre Ward can do very much different in the next time around. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised if he gives up certain titles to avoid fighting Kovalev again, and let them splinter off. But Kovalev, they've got to work on his inside fighting to do at least something inside, whether it be an uppercut or a check hook or something. They've got to do something to basically allow him to at least get a punch off when he's being smothered. And that's all I have to say about that fight. I will say this. I was on the edge of my seat, thinking at any moment the fight could end with Kovalev, crossing a right hand off of Wood's jaw. So that kept me interested in the fight. But, again, like a lot of these super fights that are on pay-per-view, they're going to go the distance. There's going to be some controversy. And then we're going to be talking about it like we are right now. All right, next order of business. This week's HBO card, coming from Las Vegas, Nevada, as Grandpa Prizzi said in the movie Prizzi's Honor. Let me get around here to what I was going to basically speak about, and that is obviously the WBO junior lightweight champion of the world, Vasil Lomachenko, is taking on the former WBA featherweight champion, Nicholas the Axeman Walters. And look, here's a couple of things that I would say, and I've been very much anticipating this fight for more than a year now. What I want to scope out is whether, let's hope they both make weight, and I'm speaking more on Walters' part, okay? That Walters hasn't fought since December 19th of last year. A lot has happened since then. Okay, he's not a timing type fighter. He's more of a bludgeoning type fighter. But he's going against somebody very technical with high level boxing IQ and high level of boxing thoroughbred. Basically, he's got a lot of boxing thoroughbred with his multiple Olympic experiences, vast amateur experiences. And judging on their last couple of fights, you would think Lomachenko would be a big favorite. Now, here's why I don't think this fight is cut and dry one way or the other. I don't know if there's anything, any one shot Lomachenko can hit Walters with that's going to hurt him. Um, I, but then again, I was surprised at how easily, and I mean easy, Lomachenko disposed of Rocky Martinez, Roman Rocky Martinez, because Martinez was never in that fight, and this was a clean one-punch knockout with a right hook, not a left hand from the southpaw. So, uh, I think that this fight could be very interesting, like the Ward-Kovalev fight. But at the same time, I harken back to a fight I saw a long, long time ago. It's coming up on like 20, almost 20 years ago. It was also on HBO. The welterweight division was kind of in flux at the time. De La Hoya had one title, Trinidad had one title, and then the WBA welterweight title was in flux because Corte gave it up to fight De La Hoya, and then a guy named James Page from California won the title in a very trying bout with another guy that Corte had defeated, Jose Luis Lopez, I think it was, and or at least he fought. No, I'll take that back. He fought a defense against him and blew out a guy named Andrei Petrov, I think, in 2 rounds. A guy that Pernell Whitaker had some issues with. So you get this power punching James Page from California, and he goes in. For some reason, for inactivity or something, his title was vacated, and he's more like Nicholas Walters, this James Page, and he fought against Andrew Sixheads Lewis, who in a way was style-wise a lot like Lomachenko. Only Lomachenko has a better chin and a lot tighter boxing skills, but he was very unorthodox and unpredictable. And the consensus was that if Page landed on Lewis, it was going to be all she wrote. And if Lewis stayed away from Page and was able to land his shots, he'd have a chance. Well, what ended up happening was it was an absolute domination by Sixheads Lewis, and eventually he knocked down Page and stopped him in the 6th round of that fight. I believe it was the 6th or 7th, where somewhere in the middle of that fight, Larry Merchant was quoted as saying that James Page was dangerous in theory alone because he wasn't going to hit Lewis, and he was taking a frightful shellacking. And this fight, if it goes for Lomachenko, may look a lot like that, where the skilled guy just picks apart the power guy until finally he just crashes and burns. I think that on his feet, in his current status, Walters is, far better than James Page was at that time. But again, James Page was inactive, just like Nicholas Walters, and the hungrier fighter, was Andrew Sixheads Lewis in that moment. And we'll see if Vasyl Lomachenko, who, from what I understand, has wanted this fight more than Walters has wanted it, but it's the best fight they could both make right now. And I think that maybe Walters' people understand that Lomachenko is going to offer a lot of problems to Nicholas Walters. My prediction on this is I'm going to go with Lomachenko, and I think it's not definitive, but I think you're going to see either a middle rounds stoppage or a clear-cut decision. The problem with Lomachenko is, and again, this goes back to their past performances, he cannot have any more flat performances like basically Walters has had the last 2 times out against Miguel Mariaga, where he basically lost his WBA featherweight title on the scales. He had some trying moments in that fight where he was hurt, I think, by a left hook in the middle of that fight. And if he had actually made weight, I believe he would have been knocked down from that shot. He was shaken pretty good. And then his last fight against Jason Sosa, where I thought he won just about every round of the fight, and the judges scored it a majority draw. How, I don't know. I mean, actually, I'm looking at these scores now, and right behind the computer, and it has like 95, 95, 95, 95, and 94, 96. So none of the judges voted for Walters, where myself as well as Harold Letterman thought he won almost every round in the fight. More terrible scoring. Lomachenko, on the other hand, like I said, is coming off the absolute best performance of his career against Roman Rocky Martinez, where he basically scored a one-punch knockout in the 5th round in a fight he absolutely dominated. And then basically what I call the grinding beatdowns of Romulo Koisha, which I thought was on a pay-per-view undercard, if I'm not mistaken. That was back in November. So that's about he's fought, and the last time he fought was in June. So he's been on the shelf 5 months, and Walter's been on the shelf 11. Lomachenko's fought twice, almost twice, in the same amount of time that Walters has fought once. No more flat performances for Lomachenko if he knows what's good for him, because this is a very dangerous fight for both of them. And like I said, I'm going to leave with Lomachenko on that one. And I see like a middle to late round stoppage or a clear-cut decision. I could be mistaken. I have before. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, now back to the other business, the third piece of business at hand. I started on July 20th, 2007, basically 9.5 years ago, collecting subscribers. So if you are still watching and if you still are a subscriber, this is for you. The very first one that I saved was ESB818 at 9:30 p.m. on July 20th, 2007. Thank you. The second one was Voragaz, Voragz, on the 12th of August. Well, I hope I saved these. I don't know if I did, because that's a long time in between July 20th and August 12th. Then on August 12th also, RDUBLIN61. If you're still around, thank you. Same thing with Voragaz. On August 13th, John PR08. Thank you. On same day, Ninja Dude 1012. Thank you. Same day, B Hale, BHAIL 143. Thank you. Then one I've gotten into it before with QOXIIVI on the 14th of August. Thank you very much. I mean, I've kept you in my thoughts. I've kept you in my folder. Ben Ray 79 on August 14th, 2007. BONZNOB on the 15th. Dre 27, if you're still around, thank you, on the 16th. McMaz, MICMAZ 34 on the 17th, thank you. R7FEL on the 17th also, thank you. Boxing 116, thank you. GWAPIN 24 on the 17th, thank you. Twice for some reason. Oh, here's one of my favorites that I've gotten into with. Jose Jaku, JOSEJAKU. Well, thank you. I think I've blocked you since then. But Bo Canada 77, if you're still watching, thank you. Forza Vozau Treg, FORZAUTREG on the 20th of August, thank you. Hokey Pat, I've seen you around not too long ago, HOKIEPAT on the 20th of August, thank you. Nettle Pop, the 24th of August 2007, thank you. Timbo 777, thank you. Serge Lapel, SERGELAPELLE, thank you, on the 25th of August. Interscrab on the 25th, thank you. RS Bonus, that's capital R, capital S, capital B, ONOS, thank you. Pudge Unit on the 27th, thank you. 2 capital S, capital 3, capital X, lowercase x, lowercase y. I know what that's trying to spell. Thank you, on the 27th. I'm not even going to try to pronounce these. Malachymyles on the 27th. Thank you. Boxing Fan 08. Thank you. Paul Kimlax or Kimlax, Paulkimlax. Thank you. The BX Marvel. Thank you. Armin 2000. Thank you. Autoplaza. Thank you. Tonton Pacute. Tontonpacute. Thank you. I'm trying to get to September and then call it quits. There's a lot in NIGMA 13. Thank you. BT Cruiser. BTCRUZAH. Thank you. OCT 83BER. Thank you. I haven't seen you around in a while. And that's going to end it for October. I'll pick this up again if you like it, and you want to see if your name is mentioned. I'll draw out thank yous. I was looking through this folder and I was thinking to myself, holy crap, I kept these from how long ago? So just a little trip down memory lane. I'll be back next week to recap this and go forward with the schedule as the year winds down. Thanks, everybody.